Here we go. This video is going to cover CAS basics. For my seniors, this is a refresher because it's been a semester and you may or not need a little refresher to kind of go back over the basics. And for the juniors, this is your first step into CAS. And I wanted you to have a healthy understanding of what CAS is and what the expectations are. Of course, we're going to go into further detail on each of these points in later discussions and assignments, but I just want to get down the basics for you. So here we go. First off, what is CAS? IB loves acronyms to shorten things down. And so in this case, CAS is an acronym for creativity, activity, service. And it all goes down to experiences. A lot of this is going to be you doing things. And so in these different realms, sometimes combining them. It's a program as part of the diploma program designed to push you to gain exposure to a range of enjoyable and meaningful experiences. CAS is fun because it is what you make it. And it's going to be tailored to your wants and needs. So you're going to design a program around what you want to do and complete it. But this is also going to be outside of your standard academic classes. And so this is asking yourself, and you're going to have to kind of reflect a little bit, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve outside of the classroom? And this is going to be your big chance to push yourself and achieve some of those things. And you can certainly use your academic skills and expand on them, but again, this is going to be outside of the classroom. So let's talk about how to do that. Let's break it down into each individual component. And again, you can do combos. Sometimes creativity, activity, they work together. Sometimes service and creativity work together. But let's break it down one by one. So let's start with creativity. The IB definition is creativity is something that lets you explore your own original thought and expression. It's getting out what's in your head and making something. And that's really vague, and that can be a good thing. You have a bit more freedom here to be creative. And so what that means to you is specific to you. And so the classical examples would be music, theater, visual art courses. So that would be writing a song, performing a play, or making a new painting. Are standard examples of what an experience could be for creativity. It doesn't have to stop there. It's making anything. So speech and debate, writing a new speech. As part of the club? Sure. Model United Nations. Hey, that's setting up an argument or setting up an event like that. That's going to take some creativity. Learning a new language. As long as this is not a class. And so if you're taking Spanish, that's not going to count. But if you're taking Spanish, but you want to learn French, and you're not in French class, you just want to teach yourself French or take it in some other setting, that can work. And so these are all examples. So the basics of this is you're either making something or you're learning a new skill. And so if you want to learn how to garden and grow tomatoes, that is certainly creativity. And a little bit of activity as well. And if you donate those tomatoes, there you got some service as well. And so the main thing is, what are you making? Making or a new skill in which you are going to be making something. Activity. This is exercise, but in a healthy way. And so the IB definition is physical exertion contributing to a healthy lifestyle, complementing academic work. And so complementing academic work is going to be a little hard sometimes. It's trying to connect everything back to your classes, but it's also outside your classes. So basically, this is exercise in a healthy way. And so that can include a lot of things, school sports. So if you're already in a sport, you're set. Hey, they're your hours. Dancing, running, anything physical. If you're breaking a sweat and it's healthy exercise, that works. Now, to clarify, this is about your health, and so pushing yourself too far is not the goal. And so something like a fad diet, where that could be dangerous to your well-being, that's not what this is about. And so trying to lose a ton of weight to the point where it is detrimental to your health, we're not about that. Hey, we're about physical exercise contributing to a healthy lifestyle. And so if you're in sports, this is an easy one for you. If you're not in sports, there's plenty of ways to figure out how to make this work. Like going on a hike, walking around the park. These are all fine examples of activities contributing to a healthy lifestyle. Service. This is the trickiest one for IB students because it's likely not something you're already doing a lot. You're probably already making things. Okay, so if you're already baking cakes and then exercising, that works. But service, that's a little bit harder. And so the IB definition is an unpaid and voluntary exchange. So that has a learning benefit for the student in which the rights, dignity, and autonomy of all those involved are respected. There's a lot to unpack there. So this is about helping your community. It's about helping other people or beings. And so that can mean animals. So if you don't want to help people, go help some animals. Go help some being. Help your community. If that means picking up trash, that is helping the community. Charity work is popular. Service can be mowing your neighbor's, that should say lawn, not garden, but anyways, mowing your neighbor's lawn, helping out your neighbor in some ways, putting on a show at a care home for the elderly, things like that would be service. But charity work is certainly also welcome. Unpaid, meaning just doing a job and then getting paid for it, that's not going to cut it. So yeah, you can mow your neighbor's, if you mowed your neighbor's lawn for 20 bucks, you can just say no thank you, and that would count. Or if you take the $20, you would have to donate it. Otherwise, that's a job, that's not service. And so it has to be unpaid. Voluntary, meaning house chores, that's not voluntary. And so that's not going to work. So the things that you were going to be doing anyways, that's not really pushing any boundaries. So doing your average chores at home and doing your job, that's not service. And so no family chores. If you do get paid, you could donate payments to a charity of your choice and that would work. The last little part is the tricky part, rights, dignity, and autonomy for all those involved. And so this one is thrown in, I think it's targeting more churches and politics here, and that many people can provide a service through their church. They can volunteer in their clubs or in their church, and that's fine, depending on what you're doing. You can volunteer with a political campaign, but there are certain things you could not do for it to count. And so helping others, great. Helping the homeless, great. But converting people to your religion or to your political viewpoints, that has crossed a line. You can certainly do that, but it's not going to count for CAS. And so working with your church to help the poor, or maybe registering people to vote, fine. But if you tell those poor people that you need to come to my church, no. Or if you register voters and tell them that you should vote for my candidate, you should vote for John McCain, no, you've crossed a line there. And so, yeah, church work can be fine, but it's not working on converting people politically or anything else like that. Learning outcomes. So as you're doing each of these things, you're trying to hit all these points over the entire course of your work. And each of these little experiences, each of these little things that you do might hit one or two of these points. And so here's what you're trying to get done. One, you're trying to grow. And so each time you do one of these things, it's not just about doing what you're already good at, it's about pushing yourself a little bit more. And so if you already know how to make a chocolate cake, try something different. Try a new type of recipe. Try something you haven't done before. If it's exercise, if you're at a 10-minute mile, go for the 9-minute mile. And when you hit that, keep pushing yourself in a healthy way. And so it's about growth. So this is not just demonstrating what you're already doing. See if you can push yourself a little bit further. Two, demonstrating that challenges, again, challenges. You have to push yourself. Challenges have been undertaking, developing new skills in the process. And so, yeah, if you already speak Spanish, that's not a new skill. So this would be challenge yourself in a new language. And again, or if you're already good at cooking the same thing you've already done, no good. As far as a challenge, cooking some new recipe, that's a challenge. 3, demonstrating how to plan and execute a cast experience. The best experiences are the ones that you really plan out and put the work in. Just going out to do a singular thing, it's not going to be as strong or as worthwhile as if you planned it, as if you put in the work saying, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to really plan this thing out and make it perfect. 4, show commitment to and perseverance in cast experiences. And so this means doing it regularly. Okay? Not just doing a single thing, one and done, I'm done, I'm never going to do that again. So the commitment would be something like committing to a sports team. You don't just play basketball once and say, I've achieved basketball, no more. No, you are going to be committed to going to practices and competing in several competitions. And so, especially in college applications, we want to see you doing things over a long term and show commitment. 5, demonstrating skills and recognize the benefits of working collaboratively. So working with others and thinking about how it can help to work with others. And so a couple of your projects should be working with other people. 6, demonstrating engagement with issues of global significance, showing an understanding of global issues. So thinking about big issues and how you can tackle them locally. And so homelessness is an issue. And so what can you do? Political disengagement is an issue. What can you do? So thinking about these big picture issues and thinking about what you can do to contribute to make the world better. And if you can't make the entire world better, what can you do to just have at least a little bit step forward in your community? Okay, 7, recognizing and considering the ethics of choices and actions. So every time you do one of these, you're going to stop and reflect and make sure that was it safe? And especially in times of like a pandemic, you always need to reflect on how am I impacting others and is this a good thing? And so ethics is always a thing that should be in the back of your mind in all these experiences. Are you already doing CAS? Yeah, you probably are. And so this should not be a ton of extra work because it's something that you are already doing. We're not trying to add a ton more to your schedule. Your schedule's already pretty packed. So if you're in a club, that can probably work. If you are in a sport or any activity outside of a regular class, that works, and that likely can be something that just works for it. So if you're in the Boy Scouts, you're probably already set. If you're in a sport, if you're in a club. Now, I'm not saying that every little thing you do with that group would count, but I'm betting quite a lot of it would. Or you can make it work. And so if you're in a club and you're planning what you want to do for that year, if you plan out a service project in that club, that could count. As long as it's not in a class. And so any work that you do in a class, that's not going to cut it. It has to be outside of class. But if you plan out a big old project for a club, that can count. You can double dip on that, most certainly. And if you're making something, that can work. If you cook for your family, try a new recipe, try something different, and that can count. The same old recipe? No. Same old enchiladas? No. Try some new enchiladas, try a different recipe. Hey, get an exercise, push yourself, try to set up a schedule. If you're going on runs every day, hey, start to track it. If you serve others, track it. And so you're going to start to track all these things. Hey, what time span are we talking about? This is your junior and senior years. Pretty much at the beginning of your junior year up to about April of your senior year when it's all done and complete. And so this is during the diploma program process. Can you make it, Cass? Yeah, it's very likely things you're already doing can be, just with a little extra push, can be converted into a CAS experience. Things you're already doing. If you can think about it and really plan it out, you can make it fit. And so we want to make this stuff that you're interested in, stuff that is fun for you. But the main thing to make it CAS is adding an element of planning and making it a little bit further than what you would normally do, pushing yourself. If you like to bake, great. Now you want to learn something new to bake, that would make it CAS. However, if you just want to cook the same thing and you're really good at cooking chocolate cakes, if you make 10 chocolate cakes, you donate them, that's creativity and service. And now you've pushed yourself a little bit further. Pokemon Go, I know that one's dated a little bit. Hey, but if you go out and start to exercise using Pokemon Go, or you organize a tournament of some sorts, or organize something like that, it can work. And so it's pushing it a little bit further to make it count as creativity, activity, or service. Yeah, but it's also, again, personalized. We want it to be something you would like to do. So, what do you actually have to do? The CAS experience is any singular experience that you're doing that fits into those categories. So as long as it's creativity, activity, or service, or any combination of the three. And you can repeat these. And it adds up over 2 years. And so you say, wow, I spent 30 hours exercising in the last semester. That counts. And so if you just give me an hour a day exercising, that's 7 hours a week. That adds up real quick. And then it also shows a long-term commitment. So if you're in a sports team, every practice, every competition, that counts. And so it adds up real quick. This includes participation in a CAS project. So if one of the other students sets up a street cleanup with NHS, where they put all the work in getting it set up, but you just show up and do the street cleanup, that counts. And so you can certainly help each other on your CAS projects in participating, because they're going to need some collaboration, and you can be that extra help. What is the CAS project? So at least once you need to put together a big CAS project. So that is at least 1 month long and collaborative. So you're working with other people to get it done. And that can mean working with other students, but also working with the community to get certain things done. At least 1 month. And at least once. You can have multiple CAS projects. So if you really liked it once during your junior year and you want to make it bigger senior year, you can. Or if you are in charge of a club and you want to do a street cleanup and it takes a month to plan, you can do it again. And that would count double. It's going to look even better on your resume as you get ready for college here. Right, but again, 1 month of work, that includes planning and actually doing the thing. Right? And it has to hit creativity, activity, or service, or all three. Reflection. Reflections are thoughtful and honest accounts of what you've gained. It's really thinking back and saying, okay, what did I learn about this? What did I learn about myself? How did I help myself? How did I help others? It's really stopping and thinking about what you're doing, because again, you're already doing this stuff. It's about why you are doing this stuff and how it makes you feel. And so it's being more reflective on a lot of the passive things you may already be doing. If you're just writing poetry because you're bored, I want you to stop and think about why you're doing the poetry and what does it mean to you. Portfolio, and just like a portfolio sounds, it's everything all combined. And so it's all your reflections every time you make an experience. If you reflect on what you've gained on exercising this week, that is going to be filed away into the portfolio. We put everything into the OneNote. This is reflections, but it's also images, posters, videos. Anytime you do a thing, you should be taking selfies to record that you are doing the thing, because, hey, I don't know, I need a little proof that you're doing these things. So if you are taking a walk, if you're taking a hike on the top of a mountain, I want a selfie on the top of that mountain. And so make sure you're taking evidence of what you're doing. And so be vain, show off your work here. Okay, and then going back a minute, your portfolio also needs to hit all 7 outcomes. Some outcomes you're going to hit more than others, but the main thing is you need to hit all the 7 outcomes over the course of the 2 years. And so you may not hit tons of things on world significance, but maybe tons of things on personal growth. That's fine, as long as you hit all 7 over your work. CAS portfolio, what's included? Well, we're going to start with a bucket list and a plan. The personal profile will really lay out what do you want to get done. Think about what you enjoy. Then we're going to start to log it. Every time you do something, put it in the log, saying, okay, I exercised 5 hours this week, put in the log. So once a week, you're just going to update your hours. CAS proposals, before you do something, you're going to bring it up to me saying, hey, is this CAS? And I'll say, yep, that's good. Or maybe you should change it this way. So CAS proposals, anytime you want to do a thing, it's making sure that you're pushing yourself. It's not just passive, it's active. Reflections, as well as evidence from each of these things you do. The overall project, I want to see your plans and the evidence. And then overall big picture, I want to see your resume and college plans. What do you want to do next year? How has this changed you? How much time should I spend on this? There's no set time. There's a recommended time. And so on average, it's about 50 hours in each category. 50 hours of creativity, activity, and service for a total of about 150 hours. That's 3 to 4 hours a week. But again, this includes so much of the things that you're already doing in service, activity, and creativity. So about 150 hours. But again, I'm not measuring the hours. I'm measuring, did you hit the learning outcomes? Are you hitting creativity, activity, and service? Hitting all the goals is the goal, not counting up the hours. Okay, but to reach those goals, this is about how much time you're going to need to really put yourself into it. How do we assess this thing? I'm the CAS supervisor, so I'll be checking in with you throughout the process. Every 1 or 2 weeks, I'm going to say, okay, what are you doing? Do you have any ideas? What do you want to do next? Let's reflect. And then I'm going to work with the IB coordinator. Dr. Payton's going to take a look at your work at the end and figure out pass, fail. So we're not going to give an A to F grade. This is going to be, is this quality work at the end? And so this is internally assessed. It's me and Dr. Payton. Where do you present this work? Instead of the regular senior project, this is your senior project. And so during senior night and the senior project night, you're going to present what you did. If CAS is not completed, you don't get the diplomas. This is part of the overall program. But again, the big picture here is personal growth. You figure out what you want to do, you set the goals, and hopefully you'll learn a thing or two about yourself and push yourself to be a little bit better. And that is CAS.